Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting edition of Boyographic, the show in which I, Matt, the Game Boy, talk you through the highs and lows of the Game Boy library, one cart at a time. This week we will be looking at a Japanese exclusive that you just have to play. It's Booby Boys. It's sometimes healthy to reflect upon what we want out of video games. I often hear cries of people hoping for innovations and disregarding games because it's just like this game with elements of that game mixed together. While I too want innovation, it's also healthy to look just how truly original the games we hold near and dear are. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind in saying some of the best things I've ever played are derivative works. That's not to say I don't truly long for original experiences either. But a game that can draw from tried and true gameplay and combine these mechanics to work together in synergy is a thing of beauty in itself. That's why it's very sad and a little surprising that the excellent Booby Boys never made it outside of its native Japan. Yes, boobies, hardy ha. However, these boys aren't obsessed only with female anatomy, but in booby traps, so I will refrain from making breast puns out of respect for our female viewers, even if it means I can't refer to the Booby Boys as titular characters. So, a bit of backstory, I guess, is in order, as Booby Boys has a bit of a strange lineage. It is actually a portable title based off of a Japanese arcade game called Kid no Hori Hori Dai Sakusen. This arcade title, made by Nihon Busen, would get a home console version on the Famicom in the title called Booby Kids, with Booby Boys appearing a few years later. Kid no Hori Hori Daisakusen later found itself being remade into a game for the TurboGrafx 16 called Crater Maze, which itself is actually a Doraemon game in Japan called Doraemon Maigayako Daisakusen. Usually I'd save this kind of info for the end of a video, but I thought it was worth mentioning up front because these TurboGrafx 16 spin-offs were published by Hudson Soft, and one of the titles Booby Boys draws heavy inspiration from is one of Hudson's most successful games, Bomberman. Oh sure, I hear you cry. You run around a top-down maze, killing enemies and collecting power-ups to increase your speed and killing ability. But other than this and the similar visual aesthetics, what more of a comparison can be drawn between the two titles? Well, actually, even the game's stage structure is very similar to Bomberman. You clear 9 mazes in both games, only to fight a boss on the 10th level to clear the stage. The only major difference is that you don't use bombs, which means your main means of attack and defense is borrowed from Booby Boys' other influencer, Lode Runner. Yes, Booby Boys borrows heavily from Doug Smith's puzzle platformer with the same reckless abandon that it took from Bomberman. Your main form of defense against enemies is to dig a hole to trap them, then walk over them as they scramble to climb out. You can even rather grimly bury these enemies alive to kill them, but like Lode Runner, an enemy death will simply mean they respawn at their original location. However, unlike Bomberman, the level isn't beaten by simply killing all the enemies, but rather in the Lode Runner's fashion by collecting boxes scattered around the various mazes. Once these boxes are collected, instead of using a ladder to escape, the player needs to collect a key and leaves via a locked door located around the level. When you strip it down so bluntly, Booby Boys will seem like a shameless copycat with no originality of its own. However, its innovation lies in the combination of these brilliant mechanics from two beautifully made games, as they work together to make Booby Boy a truly breathtaking little game. The premise is simple. Our heroes must save several damsels in distress from 6 bosses at the end of 6 unique stages, which can be tackled in any order. To get to the boss and their prisoner, you must beat 9 challenging levels, collecting enough chests to get a key to progress as previously mentioned. While this might sound simple, different enemy AI patterns, environmental hazards, and general pitfalls will try to topple you. Fortunately, courtesy of Hudson, the boys can get their hands on some serious power-ups that can really turn the tide. Instead of a bomb to increase the amount of explosives you can hold, Booby Boys features a spade power-up that, because your holes can be dug indefinitely, allows you to simply press A to dig up to 4 holes with one swing of a shovel. This is your bread and butter in Booby Boys, and really cannot save your ass enough in the later stages. Other than the basic shovel, there's a boomerang and a ray gun that grant swift death to anything they hit. These two are very effective if found, but rely on a very strict time limit to stop them breaking the digging mechanic. There's also crystals that allow you to take out enemies Pac-Man style, as well as the customary freeze time and invincibility power-ups. Apparently the game also has straight up Bomberman style bombs, but I didn't encounter any of them on my playthrough, but maybe I will on the next one, as the game offers 3 levels of difficulty and the game is certainly fun enough to consider replaying it to find out. The variety of enemies is actually quite nice in the game also. As previously mentioned, the graphical style draws heavily on Bomberman, but its reliance on different settings like Stage 1's caves or Stage 6 crypts means that while there are some of the same generic enemies throughout the game, there's special enemies of each stage change frequently enough not to be boring. The boss fights themselves always rely on you picking up a special weapon in order to free the trapped damsels. The large open areas, complete with add-ons and interesting patterns, really mix up the gameplay, even if it is possible to cheese a large majority of them once you know what you're doing. However, the end boss of the game is a bit of a bastard, as he has 2 forms that are extremely aggressive in their attacks, meaning one little slip up and it's essentially a write-off even on easy. To complement its great gameplay and beautiful visual style, the game's score is certainly in need of championing, as these upbeat tunes really make the game feel fun to play, even if you hit a wall in the more difficult areas. If this game had managed to escape its homeland, it would undoubtedly be held highly with the likes of Trip World and Super Mario Land 2, because the score is just that damn good. The game also features a very robust password system that allows you to access different stages across all difficulty levels, as well as a 2-player mode that I could find nothing about, but I'm seeking out a second copy of the game to try it, mark my words. If you do know, please leave a comment down below. Overall, it is a straight up crime that we never got to experience Booby Boys in the West. Its music, visuals and gameplay are all dialed up to 11, and what the game lacks in originality, it certainly makes up for in fun and replay value. If you're not annoyed by the fact the brief story beats aren't in English, this should be a game on everyone's radar, as its charm and extreme playability will undoubtedly leave you with many happy gaming memories. No, I mean memories! Ah, tits! And that brings us to the end of another episode of Boyographic, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and encourage others you think may be interested in the channel to do so. If you are in fact a new subscriber, or someone who's only just found the channel recently, then please drop me a comment down below, say hi. And after you've done that, why not check out some more of our Boyographic videos, where I look at the highs and lows of the Game Boy library one cart at a time. You can also check out some Boy Curious videos where I look at bootlegs and oddities for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, as well as some All the Glory, where I play through a game, cut out all my deaths, leaving you with none of the faff but all of the glory. If you'd like to find me on Twitter, I'm there at Gameboy. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Boyographic. And until next week, Game Boys and girls, game on.